Okay, first, you don't need to be mad. Not everything Transformers was made for kids, but for the most part, it is. I know IDW was not for kids, and I'm going to explain what makes it different. This video's intention is to admit that we are very attached to kids shows, but it is completely okay. We do not need to lie about it or promote kids shows like Transformers Prime as actually for adults. You should be empowered to argue against anyone who is close-minded enough to judge you for liking Transformers. So really, I'm on your side here to help you feel confident about what you like. I was inspired to do this because I see a culture across certain fandoms of kids shows. The culture is to claim that your show has all these dark themes and moments in it that make it not for kids. I was guilty of this too. Years ago, I would tell people not into Transformers that they should watch Transformers Prime. It has murder, zombies, trauma, and it isn't for kids. But that is actually not true. Transformers Prime has dark things in it, but the reason it is a kids show is because kids can handle more than we give them credit for. Before I started this script, YouTube actually recommended a short video to me called My Little Pony is Not for Little Girls. I have not seen My Little Pony, but this video was a compilation of dark clips with things like scary transformations and demonic ponies. It really made me think, why are we gatekeeping kids from dark ideas and claiming they are only for us adults, not them? These shows undoubtedly have target audiences, and the scripts are written keeping in mind what can go in and what cannot. Transformers Prime is one of the darker shows, but it's great for older kids, pre-teens, teenagers, and it wants kids to watch it, buy the toys, and play with them. Transformers Prime came with really silly commercials, and it had mini commercials called Beast Bites. Adult shows do not do promotion in this way. So at the end of the day, you need to be honest that Transformers Prime, and all the Transformers shows even less dark in it, are kids shows. Okay, let's tackle a few subjects in this video. The show you like doesn't matter, your gender doesn't matter, your age doesn't matter. It isn't any more embarrassing if you are an old man who loves Rescue Bots Academy because, you know why? The show is adorable. With your own life experiences, you will find comfort and happiness in very specific things you watch that click for you. This also explains why any argument between Transformers Animated and Transformers Prime is dumb because they are both really good shows and you can't claim any is superior to the other. What you like depends on what you like. I am very into Transformers Prime over Transformers Animated because I personally like stories with supernatural creatures in them. If Transformers Prime didn't have zombies and dragons, I would not be nearly as interested. You might like Transformers Animated because you are very intrigued by the corrupt truth of the Autobot faction, or you really like the silly characters who make you laugh. Different tastes? It's personal. Now first let me tell you why no one should make fun of you for liking something based on your gender. Very easy one to get out of the way. Everyone here thinks robots are awesome. Okay, Transformers is just a cool concept, and there's no reason why little girls or grown-ass women in particular don't like it. I really don't understand why Generation 1 thought it was only going to appeal to little boys. There are many girls who saw this on TV and liked the characters and the action. It is a fun fantasy about robots having a war and silly problems. You probably watched any of the Transformers shows with your siblings if you have any. I grew up as a wee little girl who was introduced to Transformers when my dad brought home the Transformers movie DVD. I stole that disc. I played it over and over again in the way that kids do. I was only 6 and things like Unicron or Sharkticons eating robots didn't scare me. I thought it was cool. I remember taking a pizza cutter and pretending I had Hot Rod's saw. I liked the part where Starscream got his foot stuck so much that I replayed that moment over and over. And my sister, she was there. She was older than me, but she liked Rodimus. Actually, a few years back, we grown-ass adults made her husband watch this movie, and when Rodimus became a Prime, my sister waved her hands and drowned in nostalgia. Granted, I was more into Transformers than her, but we played Transformers for hours together with my figures. I was the Decepticons, she was the Autobots. We were kids as Transformers Animated came out on TV, and we recorded those episodes and then excitedly watched each one the moment they came out. I remember even as an older kid, my sister was one day looking at our DVD case, she saw Transformers Energon and asked, "Do you want to watch that?" She's almost 30 now, and she thinks Smokescreen and Knockout are the best of Transformers Prime. And this is just my own experience, that girls and women think this shit is cool and funny. I haven't even touched the fandom. But hey, I am in the deep fandom. I have seen Tumblr and interacted with people on Discord. I can tell you right now, most of the people I interact with are not cis men. I see those comments assuming other commenters' gender, but with the people I interact with obsessed about Transformers, and nope. My development team for Mercy, a whole Transformers game project, 95% of them are cis women, non-binary, or transgender. These people I met by chance. The fandom is actually very LGBT as well because Transformers is very appealing to that community. I mean, not just because of the relationships of IDW, it is because a series about robots is more comforting than shows with real-life discomforts. This message went out to my friends who had to deal with those sexist accusations in their life, but let's get back to the topic of age. Age might be the thing we are most embarrassed about when revealing our passion to other people. If you are 40, I imagine you might feel like you can't show your love of Rescue Bots or Transformers Animated the way you wish you could. And it sucks, you shouldn't be embarrassed at all. You know, there's no magic divide between being a kid and an adult, but when you're a kid you think there is one. That is why when you become an adult, you feel so lost, like why am I not feeling any different? It's because you aren't going to change much, just get more mature and understanding. But you never hit a year where your likes and dislikes change. If you grew up watching Transformers, I got news for you. You might like Transformers for the rest of your life. If you see Transformers for the first time after your 20s and you like it, it just clicked with the taste you already had, and congratulations on discovering a good show. Because adults like kids shows. Kids shows can be really good. SpongeBob. SpongeBob is a kids show, but written in a way that adults can relate hard to. You know who I'm talking about, Squidward. As a kid, you liked SpongeBob for different reasons than why you like it now. If SpongeBob gets put on TV, my parents, who are almost 50, would stay seated and watch an episode through. There is nothing bad in that show. It's a break to enjoy something that can make you laugh. Let's look at Rescue Bots and Rescue Bots Academy, which are Transformers shows geared toward kindergartners. I like these shows, and Ultra Primal really likes these shows too, and we have actually been watching Rescue Bots Academy every week over Discord. Okay, we are grown-ass adults who chose that this is what we would watch together. Why would we do that? It's because Rescue Bots Academy is a feel-good show. I'm into murder, zombies, and robo-cannibalism. I'm notorious for this. But Rescue Bots Academy provides a special calming experience unique to shows for little kids. It's not written badly. Rescue Bots Academy is written really well for its purposes. It is a show about young Cybertronians learning rescue skills at school. This show is absolutely wonderful for teaching kids, and if I adopted kids, I would want them to watch this show. It has basic concepts like take rescue alarms seriously, don't hide your injuries, put foam on grease fires, not water, secure the perimeter when electric wires are down. It appeals to kids by writing the kids as ignorant, realistic children. Like, it is really well done, I'm convinced. Cody convinces Hotshot that a rubber duck brings luck magically, so clearly these characters are totally different than Transformers Prime characters. But I like them, and I like watching them. They are adorable, and the friendships are adorable. They are kid robots who love animals and want to pet them. It brings out my protective urges and reminds me of my childhood, so I am an adult who likes this show, and I would recommend it. So kids aren't as soft as we imagine they are. It is more trendy now to remove violence and dark ideas from kids shows and movies, but in the past there were some seriously dark things being released, like Watership Down, The Animals of Farthing Wood, Redwall, and The Fox and the Hound. I say these ones because animal violence can be very sad, but I watched all of these as a kid, and though they made me sad, the things that included sadness, violence, and fighting were much more interesting than media that was purely happy and innocent. Death, corruption, and mild torture can totally exist in kids shows Because you know what, kids also find this shit awesome. Kids are the ones reading the Warrior Cats series. Very young kids pick up books about cats killing each other and kittens dying tragically, but instead of crying, they get obsessed with this fantasy world. I remember my youth well, and when I was 6, one of the first stories I wrote was about the ghost of a squirrel that got hit by a car. Okay, I know it's me, and people know my Transformers writing is very violent, so no surprise, but kids lose their sensitivity about these things very fast. They play war with their toys, they write stories with character death, so you can show them death on screen and they will think it's gosh darn cool. So what is the line between what is for kids and what is really for adults? It is when we get really graphic and mature with those dark themes we already included. IDW is for adults because it focuses on trauma in its grittiest, most depressing way. It has robots who commit suicide, robots who force other robots to commit suicide, and it has very long, drawn-out torture scenes with no censorship, where the characters are screaming for their lives and their insides are going outside. It has mass executions on screen, romance that hurts because the romantic partners are being killed in front of their screaming lovers. When kids shows want to include these topics, kids shows do them in a milder way. They do it through the way of implication. You know the dark things happened, but you didn't see them happen in front of you. Or they show it in a less graphic way. Bulkhead ripping out a Viacon's guts. The Viacon is silent and there is no blood. The viewer's reaction is the same as Miko's because you don't associate the Viacon with a living person. IDW would add the screams of pain, begging, spraying blood, and a flopping body going silence. First example I got is a Fortress Maximus killing some Decepticons while they beg for their lives. Torture in kids shows is often limited to shocking, which Transformers Prime does, but it also has Wheeljack getting scratched. However, Transformers Prime does not dare show Wheeljack's blood because it suffers censorship from time to time. They will tell you later that blood was spilled because they collected enough blood to let Predaking scan. But when you look at the torture scene itself, there is no blood to be seen. A battle can have blood in Transformers Prime, but only a little bit, and more in the way that it looks cool instead of coming from a suffering, crying character. The furthest they go might be with RC getting cut by Starscream, or Cliffjumper being stabbed in the chest. But major blood spills and tearing metal isn't even allowed. Transformers Prime as a kids show will not spray a wall of gore unless it is black and white and censored. It will claim to turn off Breakdown's pain receptors instead of just showing you Mech tearing open Breakdown while he screams and blood is flying. Someone may say something like Transformers Prime kills humans and has killed a human on screen. But think about how they do it. They either kill them off-screen or quietly without blood. Silas's death is calm and not distressing when you watch it. IDW, on the other hand, gets innocent crowds curb stomped and gets pretty damn graphic about human death. So this demonstrates that kids shows have dark themes and are allowed to have dark themes. Having dark themes does not make it for adults because there's still a line to cross that makes the difference of, hey, do we market this for kids on Cartoon Networks, or do we promote this to adult viewers? Netflix's trilogy tried hard to present itself to older audiences, especially the older Transformers fans. It didn't want to be silly, it just wanted to do war and robots shooting at each other. It does not cross that line of this is too horrible for kids to see though, so it wouldn't traumatize a 10-year-old if you put it on. I think that 10-year-old might find the series cool, but it wasn't made for kids because they had an intended audience. No network was censoring their swears. You know Prime Wars was also enjoying that freedom. This show shows a point too though, that being an adult show doesn't make it the darkest and grittiest of all Transformers content. Want a very good way to tell if you are watching a show actually marketed toward kids instead of adults? It is in the jokes and how easily the characters can be mimicked. A kids show makes its characters say funny one-liners, and it has its characters strike poses while they deliver them. Children are natural mimics, and if you know kids, you know they will run around repeating the same quotes over and over, acting like they are the character who said them. Bumblebee in Robots in Disguise 2015 and Bumblebee in Cyberverse easily demonstrate what I am talking about. Cyberverse Episode 1 is only this.
What do you think?
Do you remember anything?
How to do donuts and over 50 different recipes for your microwave oven.
B, stop doing donuts.
Okay, what are we gonna do now?
He says exactly the kind of random things kids would like to repeat, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Children learn by copying other people, so it is very entertaining to children in a way adults won't understand. To me, Cyberverse Bumblebee in Season 1 is extremely annoying, but to other people, not so much. To children, he might be the best character. That just means the writers definitely knew what would entertain kids, but for me to like this show, I am just clinging to other factors, such as the Quintesson invasion arc. I will of course critique any show for lazy writing and not using its characters well, but that's a different discussion. Kids show, yes, more of a younger audience show than Transformers Prime, but Transformers Prime is sometimes guilty of this say an unnecessary random thing because it's funny behavior. So that is basically the rant, that Transformers for the most part is made for children. It does not mean its stories are underdeveloped and immature. The TV shows will be censored, include dark themes, but imply the worst without showing it. Its characters may do some goofy things, and the plot will not go extremely deep into the war. For me, loving Transformers Prime isn't just about what the show actually presents on screen, but is about loving what was hinted at. I can think deeper about these things, and I have enough to create my own darker stories. You can find something lovable in any of the shows. The thing you should take away from this video is be confident to other people about what you like. If someone laughs at you, "Why do you like this Transformers show?" you can reply, "I like these things about it. It has wholesome friendships," or it has character death and robot zombies. So you tell them it has dark moments that you like. You should not say it has moments so dark it really is not for kids, as a way to get non-Transformers fans to watch it. Normalize adults watching kids shows instead of keeping it something to be embarrassed about.
You're welcome.